This is the #1 mistake that all javelin throwers make at the start of their career.
Do you want to take your training to the next level? Download the Jacked Javelin mobile app, where you have access to dozens of free resources that cover topics such as nutrition, arm care, mobility, plyometrics, and most importantly, javelin technique. We also have our free community, which connects thousands of throwers from all around the world to communicate and help each other out. You will also have the option to purchase one of our training programs written directly by me with video demonstrations of each exercise telling you exactly how many sets and reps to do, as well as the option to track your metrics so you can keep track of your progress. See you on the inside.
So if I had to go back and start over, this is the one tip that I would master before I moved on to anything else. And it's the idea of action versus reaction. What that means is you basically have two ways of doing something. You either have a reaction of doing something, or you are forcing the movement and producing the movement yourself. The throw is actually a reaction. So your throwing side is going to react to what the block side is doing. So the block side is essentially stopping you, and then the throwing side happens after the block. So what you have to do there is you have to practice this concept of having an active block side versus a passive throwing side. What that means is your block side is going to be strong. So your block side arm and your block side leg are going to be working in sync with each other to be nice and strong. And then your throwing side, your throwing arm, and then your throwing back leg is going to be nice and relaxed. This way, when we come into throw, this relaxed energy is coming against this strong energy. Okay, so that's where we have this active block side and passive throwing side. And with the active block side and passive throwing side, our throwing side is able to react to what the block is doing. So the block arm and the block leg have to brace first, and the throwing side, leg and arm, are both staying relaxed. That way we can transfer this energy effectively from the ground. What happens is if we are too active with the throwing side, our arm is going to muscle up and our back leg is going to come off the ground too early. By staying relaxed, we are going to be able to keep the throwing side back so that we're keeping our arms super far behind us and getting a longer pull. We are keeping our back foot behind us until after the javelin releases out of our hand. Then you'll see that trail leg come through. If that trail leg comes through too early, then that's causing you to have lack of hip-shoulder separation. And if that throwing arm comes through too early, that will allow you to shorten your pull. Instead of throwing from your hand all the way back and getting a nice long stretch in your chest, you'll be throwing from a shortened position, which ends up being a break in the kinetic chain and causing more stress on the elbow and overall just shortening your pull. When we have better throwing velocity, it's because we have a longer pull. So just to recap there, the throwing side needs to stay relaxed and the block side needs to stay nice and strong. The block side happens first, and then the throw happens as a reaction of what the block is doing. Think about a biker who's pedaling forward. You're building up all the energy, and then when they slam on the brakes or hit a curb, their energy is just going forward over the handlebars because it has nowhere else to go. The same concept happens when we come in with that active block side. Block arm and block leg are reaching out, and then they brace. And then that throwing side, staying nice and relaxed, has nowhere else to go but forward and through the throw. If our block arm comes down here, a lot of times what happens is our knee will bend and our chest will collapse, or we'll swing around to the side and then our throwing arm will come this way to the side. So by keeping that block side strong and active and reaching out in front, the throwing side just reacts to what the block is doing, and then your energy will transfer through the throw. Same thing happens as the back hip is internally rotating against the block. Once it has nowhere else to go, that strong block side will then cause that big trail leg follow through, that donkey kick follow through that you see Johannes so famous for, of him falling forward after he throws, because he just gets so much internal hip rotation against the strong block that his body has nowhere else to go but forward and on the floor. That being said, the way I like to teach javelin is use other sports to help you understand the javelin. A lot of my throwers in America come from the background of having football or baseball or basketball as part of their background, so I try to use as many connections as possible to make the sport simple to them. So one of my favorite things is, with Tom Brady being the best quarterback of all time, what could we learn from him? He throws football, we throw javelin. There's a lot of similarities in the two that we could learn from him. Big thing that he talks about is when he's throwing at his target, if this target is the camera right here, if he's throwing at the camera, his left shoulder will point at the camera, then he will rotate around and then throw at the camera there. So that way, the only way that this left shoulder swings out is by this right shoulder coming through as a result of the throw. What you don't want to see is, if I'm throwing at this camera, he doesn't want to see you open up this way and then throw across your body where both the shoulders are already level before the throw happens. He wants you to use this left shoulder to point at the target, and then as you're rotating using your scapula around the body and around the left arm, and then finishing through forward. A lot of times what happens is kids with the left arm in the javelin throw, they'll be reaching out and then they'll swipe across this way. So then by the time the throw happens, they're throwing from here instead of throwing from all the way back and then coming through over the top. So that's a big thing with the left arm in the result of the throw. We want to make sure that when we're going through that penultimate and the crossovers, that we're staying closed and keeping that left arm long. And then as the block hits, we will hit that corkscrew position and roll under the javelin and come over the top and throw. That being said, what can we learn from the greatest of all time in basketball? Steph Curry, same thing. When you're shooting a basketball right-handed, you're still using the left hand to guide, okay? You're not shooting with both hands, but that left arm sets the trajectory for where the right arm will follow through. So when you're shooting a three-pointer and you're up high, your left arm is still up with it. Same thing with the javelin, is that when we're going through our crossovers, if our left hand is down here, or that block side hand is down here, what happens is then you're going to come in to throw, and then your point of trajectory is down here. So your right arm will follow through low, or your chest will collapse low. You need to get that left arm up high out in front of you. So that way when you hit that active block side, your throwing arm will follow the point of trajectory of where that left arm was pointing you in the first place. That's a big key right there is, when we're talking about active block side, passive throwing side, yes, we need to stay relaxed with the throwing side. Yes, we need to stay active with the block side, but keeping that left shoulder nice and long and that left hand nice and high, and then uncoiling at the time of the block is really important. I have another video that gets more into the weeds of the timing of the left arm using the corkscrew drill, the 3-position drill, and a lot of those really helpful drills that we talk about on this channel. The main point of this video was so that I want you to learn how to keep your throwing side super relaxed and your block side active. So that way the block is initiating the throw and your throwing side is coming through after the block. Thanks for tuning into this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe and follow along for more.